Madam, are you there? Coordinator, madam?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, okay. Yeah, you're correcting the name. It is right.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon, one and all present here. On behalf of our department and my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to our speaker, Dr. Surajit Devna, Head, Department of Medical Laboratory Technology, and PA Unnat Bharat Abhinyan, Government of India, Women's Polytechnic. Now, I would like to introduce our speaker who is going to give a talk on cardiac signals of biomedical importance from propagation to interventions and hands-on session with the Python applications using a heart protein. So Dr. Surjit Gaddan currently is Head Department of Medical Laboratory Technology, Women's Polytechnic, Tripura. He received Young Scientist Award subsequently for 3 years from DPT, EST, and CSIR during 2011, 12, and 13 respectively. He is also the recipient of Tata Trust Grant. He is a reviewer of several Scopus and SCI in-text biomedical journals published by Elsewhere, Springer, etc. Along with regular academic activity, he is currently guiding a group of international students for their internship from Ukraine, Russia, Turkey, and Western African countries. He has visited GW Curtin University, Germany, Royal College of Pathologists, London for courses and CMEs. He has delivered invited lectures in international gatherings in NIT, Allahabad, SV University, Tirupati, Central Agriculture University, Government of India, among few. Dr. Debnett has several industry tie-ups for consultancy and research. Now, I would like to invite our speaker, Dr. Sujit Debnett, to start the session. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, madam, for your kind words. Uh, as you have given introduction of mine, I'm thankful for
Thank
the
you, sir.
introduction. So I shall be starting our discussion, and in the post launch session, there is huge challenge on the presenter or the discuss who is going to discuss, because all of us know that post launch sessions are such that people mostly feels busy, and since these are all done from your home, so there are possibility that many of us will fall asleep. Anyway, I shall give it a try so that things do not go out of the hand. Is my screen is visible, madam?
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay, okay. Now, what happens is I am not going to discuss any critical research aspect or any high-end new developed technology. We are going to discuss very basic things and an old established method of estimating biomedical signals from the cardiac region. And as the name suggests, the cardiac signals of biomedical importance. Then how does it propagate? How does it originate? And how we can intervene the cases where the signals go wrong. What are the cases that cardiac signals go wrong? What are their implications? Many of us already knows all this. And ultimately, we'll have a little discussion on a hands-on session where we'll be dealing with a particular protein which is present in heart, and we'll try to simulate artificially the micro scale or minuscule events that may take place inside the heart in terms of in molecular level. Now, because most of us, and I guess many of us, are the teachers by themselves. So one of our objective remains, at the same time, teachers are like expected to do superhuman things, because at one end you have to teach your students who are undergraduate or postgraduate, you have to do your research and you have to innovate, and also you have to collaborate with industry. All things a teacher should do as per the guidelines and this thing. So a teacher is not less than a superhuman, yes. So in the meantime, our one of the objective is to teach the students who are in your class the basic things, where sometimes what happens is some basic understanding and basic things are not very clear with them. So here also my presentation is entirely on a normal AICT syllabus and nothing beyond that. We'll be talking about the cardiac signals, which we teach in biomedical instrumentation subject when we teach. I know that many of us are having that subject who regularly takes that. So for those, there is nothing new. At the same time, I was myself very interested during this lockdown period to once again brush up my skills with the basic things. So that was an objective. So what happens is, just hold on. The cardiac signals, we shall see how exactly they propagate, and we must appreciate that the many of the living organisms maintains the basic physiological activity of the body by means of bioelectrical signals only. So we shall see how exactly this bioelectrical signals generate and then propagate. In the first this thing slide, if you see that there is an analogy between the electrical circuits and the basic part of human body, that is a heart. Now, or the cell. The cell has a lot of analogy with the electrical circuit. How exactly we can see there? The green dots comprises of a membrane. Now, membrane is the outermost part of a cell, which restricts certain chemical environment than the outside. So what is the role of the membrane? The membrane maintains a uniformity of the region which it encloses, so that the various chemical reaction can take place in a controlled environment, for like your home. Now outside it is 40 degree centigrade temperature. You cannot sustain, you cannot stay. So what you do, you close all your doors and then you switch on your AC so that a controlled environment is generated. Now this thing is only possible when you are staying inside something which is insulated. The cell is also like an entity where the membrane maintains an insulation due to the chemical nature of the membrane itself. Because what happens is the chemical nature of the membrane is non-polar, and it is made up of lipids and fat-like molecules. So what happens is it is separating itself by maintaining an insulation from the ionic environment which is present outside the cell as well as inside the cell. Okay, so one might think that the cell behaves like an isolated entity. There is no connection with the environment. No, it is not like that. Like your home, also you do have windows, doors, so that whenever is required, you can come out and you can take things. For example, right now, my wife came and given me a cup of tea. Otherwise, I would shut my door whenever I talk to speak with outside people in my study room. But I have opened the door and took the tea so that I will drink the tea while speaking to you. Same thing happens here. Now, as you can see here, that there are yellow entities. Now, these yellow, the two yellow entities are nothing but proteins, which are biological terms are called channels. Now, these channels are made up of proteins which will ensure that there is a connection between the cell and the environment. And whenever the material or ionic exchange should be done to and fro the cell, at that point of time, these channels will take care of that whole physiological condition. Now, while doing so, what happens is these proteins or the channels are there plenty in the membrane. Okay. Now, therefore, what happens is kind of the lipid bilayer itself acts as an insulator. But the thing is that the geometry of the whole thing leads to a development of a like a electrical capacitor. Where what happens, the capacitance is developed due to the resistance and the voltage that is developed in the cell. Now, during this, what happens is in the resting position also, when the cell is not doing anything, at that point of time also a voltage is generated. Now, this generation of the voltage is due to presence of an unequal distribution of ions inside and outside of the cell, meaning that inside the cell there is a different kind of magnitude of ion presence, and the outside there is again a difference in the magnitude of the ion presence. Now, due to the difference of the magnitudes, ultimately an electric potential is generated. Now, this thing is very much equal to a what we call as a electrical circuit. As you can see here, the resistance as well as the potential difference are in a series, and ultimately it is making the complete circuit, which has much analogy with the cell by itself. If you can read those details, you'll get everything at your disperse. Now, while going through my the regular classes, we came to know that what happens is in heart, the importance of the electrical signals are very high in heart, brain, and many other things. We will have discussions later on. But in heart, what happens is there are specific nature of the electrical signals which regulate the activity of the heart. Now, during that regulated activity, some or the other time the circuit may behave in abrupt way. So, during those conditions, these are the some events that are generally taken place inside the heart, and that leads to a fatal condition of the person in whose heart the electrical abnormalities are taking place. So, there are 5 major cases. For example, what happens is now when there is a regular sinus rhythm of the heart, meaning that the regular electrical activities are taking place in the heart, then what happens is you get a very good electrocardiogram or ECG. Now, ECGs are nothing but accumulation of all the electrical signals that are being generated in the heart, and when we put it in a graphical representation, we call it ECG. Now, we'll come to those things later. Now, in regular sinus rhythm, as you can see, there is a repetitive nature of the electrical scenario, and there is no change in the magnitude, frequency, nothing. So later on, sometimes what can happen is the frequency may go increased, okay, or there may be an increase in the electrical activity. That leads to sinus tachycardia. Meaning what? meaning random activity of the heart which is not at for the regular intervals, and the intervals are lost, and therefore the heart tend to do abrupt function that leads to fatal condition in the body. Now the opposite is also true. In some case, what will happen, that the frequency will be reduced to a certain level, and there will be still the repetitive nature of the signals, but there will be a decrease in the frequency, normal frequency. Now that leads to something called bradycardia. Now, if something goes wrong in between these two, it is certain at certain point of time it is very frequent, and then certain point of time it is not very frequent, and that point of time we call it arrhythmia, meaning the rhythm has been lost. But finally, when something goes abruptly wrong and there has been no clinical intervention, at that point of time, what can happen? There can be a sinus pause, where the whole the situation becomes very much potentially fatal, and there are cases that you cannot save the patient. So these are the cases where we biomedical instrumentation people can definitely do an intervention by means of a life-saving device. So I shall also give a little. Okay, now we shall have a little brain awakening, something like that, I shall say, because many of us may feel dizzy. Here we shall see. I want to share with you a video. Okay, I want to share with a video. Just hold on, give a little time. Not that. Here on. Is the video and the sound here audible to you, and the video visible to all?
Yes, sir. Audible
Okay, fine.
as well as visible, sir.
Fine, that's good. Now you see here, a person has been doped with some kind of poison, and he's feeling that his heart is not behaving the way it should behave. So in the beginning, he is connecting with the central lab by telemetry, biotelemetry, and the people are aware that something is went wrong with the important person he is. In order to save the person's life, there has been some intervention. Now this is a device, and the person is being asked to attach the leads to the chest because it is very near to the heart. He is having a tachycardia. Okay, you charge it and then discharge. It should reach a threshold. Okay, in order to support the whole therapy, you need to have a drug injected. The machine do not work. They did not put the lead in the place, and he lost his consciousness. Very much regular in cases of fatal heart conditions. So the person is very lucky, it seems. Okay. Okay. is very lucky. He has uh, came back to life, and we shall go ahead again. Now, what happens here is, as we have said, that the electrical signal of the heart may abruptly go wrong, and then what you have to do is to intervene so that you can save a life. Now, when we talk about this, we are talking essentially about a device which is the most useful biomedical device humankind has ever had till today, and it is also an example of the oldest wearable device technology. Now, these days, people are we all are talking about connected devices, Internet of Things, and learning of the machine and taking decisions to become more smart. Now, all these things uh, were not a very new concept, because the concept was already there for a very long period of time, and the human beings were very much lucky to discover, shall I say, to yes, the discover as well as do a lot of innovation with respect to cardiac health by designing a device that is known as um, cardiac pacemaker. So I am not exactly talking about the defibrillator, because in defibrillation, what happens is, it is in the case where there is a pause. So now this pause may take place due to either action of a drug, which is very rapid, but otherwise what happens, the pause do not take place all on a sudden. If in the beginning itself, during when the electrical signals are abruptly behaving in the heart, if you can intervene at that point of time by a proper diagnosis, what you can do is you can change the course of the clinical outcome of the patient. The patient may not need a defibrillator at all. So at that period of time, what happens is you insert a cardiac pacemaker, which was, as I have said, that oldest wearable medical device which human beings have developed, and that also a connected device. I'll give you a little this description also, where you'll see that the devices are from in the 1980s itself. The devices were connected by means of radio telemetry, and these days these devices are connected via very good protocols, where your heart activity can be monitored from a very remote person, and he can accordingly design the amount of pulse that is generated in the your device, which is kept inside near your heart, and thus the person can directly regulate your heartbeat. We shall come to those points, but before that we need to know how exactly the basic things goes. For that, we will go to the next one. Now, bioelectrical signals. We should also understand that it do not only we are not do not only talking about the bioelectrical events that are taking place in heart. Bioelectrical events are taking place at many different other parts. Mostly the sensors of the body. Okay. Now the sensors are in terms of biology. There is a um, description in other way, but in terms of biomedical instrumentation also, these are however very much connected and linked. Now these receptors, or as we are calling it in biology, or the sensors, mainly the sensor of the eye, then some sensors of the skin. At the same time, bioelectrical signals are also responsible for several other critical conditions that are the function of the kidney, as well as the transport of gases in human body, or in animals. All these scenarios are connected to bioelectrical signals, and these signals are being generated only due to the charge difference around the membrane. As I have said, the membrane is the non-polar entity, where it binds a polar entity that is inside the cell, and the outside that is also polar, because all the reaction takes place where in human body 70% is said water. Meaning what? That the different organs and everything is dissolved in water. They are remaining in water. Therefore, the plasma membrane is making a division of two different polar environments only to maintain certain physiological conditions. The first figure of the classwork one shows the activity that is taking place inside the eye. Now, how eye respond to a light is also due to a particular generation of action potential, which is being generated due to the presence of bioelectrical circuits in the cells. These are rod cells and cone cells. The same time, in the classwork 3, you can see there is a cell called nephron, which is present inside the kidney of human beings, where again the bioelectrical signals helps to remove the potentially toxic things, whatever is developed in the body, and to accumulate those toxic things and to put those things out from the human body. Also, it uses bioelectrical signals. Now, in classwork 2, you can see that during the movement of respiratory gases, that is the oxygen and carbon dioxide in the body, there is also certain bioelectrical signal transduction that is taking place. Now, here again, we shall see the major coordinator of the human body system is the nervous system. Now, that nervous system is entirely dependent on the propagation of bioelectrical signals. So we shall be specifically talking about the intervention in heart, but there are interventions where bioelectrical signals are being corrected in several other parts of the body as well, sometimes by means of drugs and sometimes by means of implantable or wearable devices. Now we shall see in a video again that how the bioelectrical signals are coordinating throughout the body. It's a very basic video I would like to show you, so that we can also use this kind of graphical representations in our classes, because one of our major objective is to make your classes such that people do not get sleep. Now it will start from another course. Okay, now here you see, now the brain is connected to each and every organ of the body by means of a system called nervous system. Now, brain is staying where? In some other part of the body, but it connects throughout each and every cell of the body. How? By means of a nervous system. Okay. Now, this is nothing but a circuitry, a biomedical circuitry, which connects each and every part to the brain, and the brain can coordinate accordingly to each and every part of the body by means of nerve fibers, which are very similar to electrical fibers. And these nerve fibers are a bundle of different cells or nerve cells. We call it axon. And by means of multiple axons only, a nerve fiber is being built. Okay. Now, as you can see, special cells, which are axons, are responsible for coordination throughout the body. Now, what happens is, in the first slide, we saw that there is only one entity, a channel protein, which controls the entry and exit of ions as well as non-ion entities to and from the cell. Now, what happens is, many a times it has been seen that there are events where the concentration of ions are being regulated by an active transport condition. Active transport condition means what happens is, it is working against the gradient. Okay, for example, I'll give you an example. Outside the cell there is 10 moles of sodium ion. Inside the cell there is 2 moles of sodium ion. Now what will be the tendency of sodium ion? Due to the biophysical concepts of thermodynamics, what it will tend to do? It will tend to go into the cell, because into the cell the concentration is much low than the outside. Okay, now this is the fundamental of generation of action potential. Everybody knows this. Now here what happens is, by means of a special, what we call channel protein, which is a bit different. Now, why this is bit different? Now, this kind of channel protein is not exactly working as a pipe. Okay. Now, you have a tank in your house or in your field. Now, you put a pipe inside it. So, what will happen? The water will go down, down, down until and unless it reaches the bottom of the pipe. Then what will happen? All the water will go drain out, because inside the tank there was much high pressure of the water and outside there was much less, and therefore all water will get outside of your tank by means of that pipe or the channel protein. So here it is opposite. Here what happens is, on membrane there is a mechanism called sodium potassium ATPase. Now this mechanism, what it does is it acts opposite to the thermodynamic gradient. Okay. Now what it does is, where water is less, it pumps the less water to get into a place where more water is there. That is, which is against the thermodynamic means. Now, we all know that this situation is not very much possible. If you have to do this, you have to provide outside energy. For example, your house is a 3-storied building. Okay, your water tank is kept out on the top, because so that by gravity it will come down up to your ground floor and everything is okay. But before that, you have to take the groundwater to the top of your building. Now, while doing so, you cannot depend on gravity. What you have to do, you have to put a motor of 2 or 3 horsepower, and so that so that water is taken against the gradient. Okay. Now here also this is the same. Now here, which kind of energy is being used? Here a biochemical energy is being used in the form of adenosine triphosphate, a chemical. If somebody is injecting inside his body, what will happen is he will have a burst of energy. All on a sudden he will feel very hot, and so much of this thing will happen. Sweating will happen. Sometimes he will have a high rapid heart activity, and sometimes it can happen that he starts bleeding from some of the orifice of the body. That means some of the openings of the body. Because why? Because there is a certain upsurge of energy. Now that upsurge is produced by means of ATP. Now what happens is, ATP is a hydrolyzable molecule. A hydrolyzable molecule means what? Means by means of a specific enzyme, what you can do is you can hydrolyze the covalent bonds present in it. Now, whenever you hydrolyze a covalent bond, there are some kind of release of free energy. Now, whenever a certain ATP molecule is hydrolyzed, an energy of 7.3 kilojoule per mole is being produced, resultantly opening of a membrane which acts opposite to the gradient. Now, this is how what happens is a sodium potassium pump is being functioned. Now here what happens is, in the previous slide also, in the first slide we saw that a certain capacitance is developed. Now this it is also here relevant that the capacitance of C of a capacitor increases with the area of the plates. Plates means nothing but the membrane, and decreases with the separation between the plates. That is the width of the cell. Understood? Now here is the relationship where C is equal to epsilon A divided by D, where epsilon is the dielectric constant, and this dielectric is also being provided by means of the membrane, which is a non-polar entity. Now here also some classwork discussions. Now in the classwork 4, because it is kept in this way, in the classwork 4, what you see that there is a relationship of direct this thing. That means when the rate of diffusion is directly proportional to what? The concentration of the solute. Therefore, you get an XY straight line. Y is equal to mx plus c. Now, every time it is not the case. After some time, what will happen? Solute, for example, you can talk about ions. Now, after some time, what will happen? All your channels will get saturated. At that point of time, what will happen? That there is no more increase in the rate of diffusion, and you get a plateau. Now you can see in the classwork 6 that we are having one more graph where we are having a plateau. At that plateau, what is happening? The concentration of substrate is not directly proportional to the rate of the diffusion of the ion. Why? Because all of your channel have got saturated, and that point of time a separate mechanism come in action. Now in that separate mechanism, what happens? One molecule, you can see in the classwork 5, in the here what happens is one molecule of ATP undergoes an hydrolysis, undergoes hydroxylation, and therefore three sodium ions goes outside the cell, and two potassium ion gets inside the cell. Understood? Now, if this thing happens, what will happen? Outside there will be three positive charge, but inside there will be two positive charge. Now, when this thing happens, what happens? Outside is more positive, inside is less positive. Now, less positive means negative. So, what happens is on the membrane, a partial potential difference is generated due to the difference of the charge, and this leads to the formation of bioelectrical activity or signals, which ultimately leads to different activities. For example, nervous regulation, as well as what we call contraction of heart muscles, which ultimately leads to blood circulation throughout the body. Is a very vital process. Now here you see, initially in the first figure we saw that there is only one channel protein, okay, which opens and closes in order to regulate the concentration of ions. But it is not as simple as that. Why? Because there are multiple types of, what shall we say, is channels. Some channels are devoted to only potassium ions. Some channels are devoted only to what? Sodium ions, and therefore the complexity of the circuitry is being developed. Now here you see the arrows in the INA and the IK are opposite to each other. Okay, as you can see, the current due to sodium conductance is directed upside, whereas in potassium conductance it is indicating downside. Why? Because these two ions always play a contradicting role. Understood? And this leads to a far more complex circuitry, which is regulated by means of three different channels. One is sodium potassium ATPase, which uses energy in order to do the opposite bio energetic propagation of ions. But the other two listens to the normal, what we call biophysical concepts. That means where there is concentration is more, it will lead to a minimum concentration. Where concentration is less, there is an increment of the concentration. So there are the three different channels which are basically present on a cell membrane, which leads to the formation of bioelectrical signals. Now, as I have said that there are different bioelectrical signals in different parts of the human body. That means inside the eye cell, then inside the kidney cell, inside brain cell, inside heart cell, there are different bioelectrical events that are taking place. Now, there should be some mechanism to calculate or to quantify the amount of electrical activity that are being taking place. So for that also, there is a what we call proper mechanism by which what we can do is we can use a tip of a specialized pipette, which will suck a part of the membrane of a cell, which is a big cell. Nerve cell is a big cell. So what happens is, then by means of electrodes you can literally identify that it is not hypothetical. The bioelectrical signals are not hypothetical, these are real, and you can definitely quantify it. This is a kind of a primitive ECG through which you can exactly quantify how a particular single cell membrane is generating the action potentials and how it is behaving. Okay, but when we talk about ECG, we talk about the cumulative electrical effect that may take place inside the heart. Okay, now here we'll give you another demonstration where you can find that how the potential difference is changing with respect to the what concentration of ions. Just hold on, it will come. We shall see exactly how the whole concept is being there. Okay, now consider this, that this is your cell. Now inside the cell there is sodium. Now it's a table salt bottle. Now there is calcium, which is represented by a bone, and there is potassium, which is represented by a banana. Now you see the concentration. Potassium is highest inside the cell, whereas sodium and calcium are very less compared to potassium inside the cell. These are talking about equimolar or the molar concentration. Now outside the cell, what is the condition? Outside the cell, sodium is far more higher. The calcium is also higher, whereas potassium is very low. That means potassium is being represented by the yellowness of the what? Banana. Now, outside there is positive, more positive charge. As I have said, that there are 3 sodium ion will go out due to the function of sodium potassium ATPase, which acts opposite to the energetics. Now, outside the potassium positive charges are more, whereas inside positive charges are less. But do not consider this magnitude as such. It is only to show you the differences. Okay, different textbooks will say different things on the in terms of what, in terms of the concentration of ions. Okay, only you have to find out that when there is nothing happening, we call it what? We call it resting potential. In resting potential, what happens? Outside it is more positive, inside is less positive. Now this thing is not always stable. See how it is being changed. The dynamics of ions are being changed, and now you see the difference. Now inside is more positive, outside is more negative. Now this leads to formation of an action potential. Okay, meaning what? Meaning something is happening on the what? On the cell membrane. Therefore, a certain amount of activity is being generated. We shall see in a graphical representation again. So here, if you see that you are having a time-lapse explanation. So here, what is happening? The changes of ions are being taking place. See, very rapidly. Somebody has touched you, for example, or some light has entered into your eye. Now, then what happens? After some time, for processing of the signals, there is a pause. But due to the rapid changes of the ions, again the plateau will start, and then after a certain point of time, it will tend to come down to the earlier phase or the earlier resting phase. Okay. It will once again reach minus 90 millivolts. That means the action potential reached up to plus 20 millivolts. Then it again comes down when there is no activity taking place on the nerve fiber. That means your heart is doing your activity. Okay. Okay. Now here what happens is this thing happens. Okay. Now these activities, yes. Now these activities, as I have told you earlier, that a single cell membrane can give you a graphical representation of how exactly the ions are being shifted to and fro your membrane, and therefore generating an action potential. Okay. Now here is a very interesting figure. Here what happens is the heart is having different areas. Okay. Now we call them chambers. Okay. Now beyond the chambers also, the heart is very, what shall I say, complex system. Why? Because there are 2 special group of nerve fibers which start the electrical activity of the heart. One is called SA node, okay, and another is called, as you can see here, AV node. So what happens is these are a special group of cells which will lead to the overall electrical behavior, as well as we shall call it electromechanical condition of the what shall we say is the cell or the heart. Okay. Now, as you can see, when there are some electrical event taking place in the SA node, which is in the topmost part of the heart, then a certain electrical activity is being recorded. Now, if you come down, down up to the ventricles, there also a specific electrical activity is being generated and can be recorded. Means what? Means throughout the heart there are different areas where different electrical activities ultimately leads to the mechanical events that are taking place in the heart. Okay, what mechanical events? Mechanical events are nothing but circulation of the blood throughout the body. The most vital biomedical phenomenon which is needed to call somebody live. Once your heart, every one of us are very much aware that once your heart stops beating, okay, according to the law of the land, if your heart stops beating, but your brain can still feel or still understand what exactly is going on in your environment, you will be declared dead by a medical professional. Okay, and then your organs can be removed from your body to give it to somebody else who is also ailing. Now that is a different story. Now this is how the importance of heart is. Now here what happens is we have developed, means human beings have developed a mechanism by which we can integrate all the different electrical activities of different areas. SA node, atrium, ventricles, then the muscles of the heart of all different areas. I need not to elaborate because it becomes a very this thing for you. As you can see, there are different areas of heart with a different electrical event. We can integrate all such events into a simple graphical representation. We call it ECG. Now, for doing ECG, you need to have at least two different leads or two different electrodes. Now, what these electrodes will do? Now, these electrodes will once generate give you a little shock, and then identify the change of the shock, and accordingly write down whatever the electrical events that are taking place inside the heart. Now, in order to get a positive peak, what should be there? The reference electrode should project the vector to the exploring electrode. But in contrary, when there is a negative slope, the opposite takes place. What? The exploring electrode projects the vector towards the reference electrode, and therefore we got a combination of positive and negative peaks, which represents the all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different electrical activities of the heart. Okay, now here also we will see in a video, which is very important to see how exactly the different activities of different part of heart leads to formation of the ECG peaks. Okay, here okay, again it is video 4. Fine. Okay, see from a little here. Okay, see here, the heart is doing its regular activity, and so a ECG curve is being generated. Now, P curve or P wave will generate when there is an action potential generated where? In SA node, the top part. Okay, top part means SA node, and in graph we shall say peak number P, or the name of the peak is P wave. Now that leads to the systole of the atrium. Systole means squeezing. Systole is squeezing, and therefore all blood will get into the bigger chambers, the ventricles. Okay. Now, whenever there will be a ventricular event, at that point of time, the chambers or the opening between atrium and ventricle should be opened. Okay. So for that also, some electrical mechanism is needed. That is represented by the part which is just after P, but before Q. Okay. Now, once the next part, that is bundle of E's. This is a bundle of I shall put a little hold here. Now this is the part where what happens is, let me tell you what happens is, there is a mechanism of, which is entirely developed by a special kind of protein. Okay, that is also our interest, which I will give you for a little demo by your hands on to make it a little more interesting. Now I shall tell you that in heart, the concept is such that electrical events will be propagated by means of nerve. That is fine. By the effector regions, effector means where the electrical activity will do some kind of work. That work is done by means of muscles. For example, you have generated so much of electricity, and in order to switch on your fan, now the fan is the muscle, for example. Okay. Now electrical activity has been generated by means of different differential mobility of ions in the nerve fibers. But ultimately it leads to what? It leads to a mechanical activity in the heart, so that your heart gets a beat. Now for getting the beat, you need some special molecules. These are called muscle proteins. Okay. Now in heart, the muscle protein is bit different. How it is being different? It is different because there are special conditions which is not very much frequent in other parts of the body. Okay. So I shall say that whenever you do a gym, okay, I shall once again come here. Now, whenever you do a gym, what happens is, for example, for a first day you go to a gym, then next day you will have so much pain throughout the body. Why is this? Because your muscles are not accustomed to do the work, the amount of extra work you did in your gym, and therefore your muscles feels a fatigue. Okay, very simple concept. Because there were no much oxygen and there was no much food inside your muscle, so that extra energy can be generated, and therefore your muscles have taken a bypass. Bypass means not regular mechanism, a different mechanism, so that more energy can be generated at the cost of the health of the muscle, and therefore next day you feel pain. But you consider your heart. Your heart is such a muscle that it generally never gets tired throughout your lifetime. Why? Because the molecules are bit differently designed by nature itself inside the heart. Okay, we'll do a little hands-on on the basis of that also. Well, whatever. Now, here what happens is, there is a special kind of muscle which is called bundle of His. Now, bundle of His, again I will give you an analogy. The bundle of His is such that when SA node is get activated, what will happen is, it will do a umbrella-like movement. What is umbrella-like movement? You are having an umbrella which is flexible or which is collapsible. Now, when you open an umbrella, what you do? The sticks, you do a movement so that the sticks become straightened, which were already broken or which were already what? Folded. You are doing an unfolding. Here also, bundle of His follows similar kind of activity, where an unfolding process is taken place on the heart, so that the smaller chambers become bigger. See, initially when there is squeezing, the heart is small. Why it is squeezing? Because you are closing your umbrella. When you close your umbrella, what you do? You take all the needles of the umbrella or all the sticks of the umbrella close to you, so it gets closed. When you open it, what you do? You unfold your sticks of the umbrella. Same mechanism leads to the increasing size of the heart and decreasing size of the heart. We generally call it systole and diastole. Okay. Now here is, if you can see, I much not elaborate, but as you can see here also in this excellent video, that how exactly the cardiac events are taking place and how the electrical potential is being recorded in the form of an electrocardiogram, ECG. Okay, each and every step you can see here. Okay. Okay. Now what happens is, okay, now next is the same thing in the video. It shows that how we have previously, how many peaks were there? Can you remember? 7 peaks. All on a sudden we shall call it what? We shall call it removal of noise. Okay, like in machine learning, what you do is you remove the extra signals. Okay, or white noise, you say. So you are removing the noises. Ultimately, what is the reason behind removing the noises? You optimize your signals or filtering the signals. Here also, ECG, what it will do is, by means of the protocol designed, by means of the steps that are done in ECG, what happens is your what? Just 1 second. Your electrical activity are being optimized to have a more simple graphical representation in terms of PQRST. Okay. This is called the remodeling of action potential leads. Okay. Which leads to asynchronous, whatever I have said. Okay. Now here also, my biomedical lab student will do a ECG. I'll show you the steps ECG as everybody will be knowing, but my student have done it. So you see what exactly happens there. What you have to do step by step. Okay. The first thing is you have to put your leads. Now, as you can see, your leads are such that these are nothing but electrodes, and you have to keep those electrodes near to your heart. Now, your skin is not very sensitive to electrical signals. You have to make it more sensitive by means of putting an electrolyte gel. You put electrolyte gel on your chest as well as in those areas where you are putting your what? Electrodes. There are peripheral electrodes which are kept around your long limbs. Limbs means hands and feet. Okay. Now a triangle will be designed near your heart, something like a triangle, something like a special setup of the electrodes, which will follow something called Einthoven triangle, and therefore the main leads are placed near your heart. But before that, you have to add the electrolyte gel, which is being prepared by means of sodium silver ions. Okay, and you can even use sodium potassium ions, but it will corrode your electrodes. Okay, so silver is being less corrosive. We use the silver chloride or silver nitrate salt in the gel. It's a simple gel, is made up of jelly or paraffin, by which we add electrolytes, and therefore then what happens is you start recording the electrical events, and the recorder is such that it will remove all the white noise, and it will filter your these things, extra signals, and ultimately it will lead to what? It will lead to a very regular and easily interpretable graphical representation of overall activity of the heart. Understood? Now that activity will show how exactly your heart is behaving, whether there are some asynchronous activities, whether there is a need for an intervention. Everything you will come to know by seeing your ECG. Okay. Now this protein we are interested in. Now this is called a myosin protein, which also I have sent you by means of a PDB file. We will come to that point. Now what happens here is the protein is large protein. It's a macromolecule. Okay, you can see that red area. There are two figures. One figure you can see thread-like molecule, thread-like figure. Now that thread-like figure is the backbone. Now when you fill up the backbone, it takes a three-dimensional structure, which is in the red structure, fully red. Okay, now this is a myosin protein, and we have developed this myosin protein by means of a technique called X-ray crystallography. It's entirely a biophysical process, and electrical engineers do not need to bother until and unless they are working for some kind of very high-end scientific study. Now what happens is this macromolecule is very big, and what is the speciality? The speciality is the molecule is designed in such a way that you cannot make it tired by doing a repetitive task. That is, it is entirely different from the muscle which are there in your biceps, in your triceps, or in other common areas. Okay. Now, if you do 100 hand folding, if you fold your hand 100, 200 times, what will happen is there will be an increased volume of your bicep and you will grow your muscle. At the same time, you need to have your proper nutrition also. But what do you see? If you use your a particular muscle very rapidly, the muscle becomes larger in size. Understood? And that is the objective of a bodybuilder. What it does is it uses a particular kind of area of a muscle, and therefore you produce a lot more volume there, and your muscle becomes big. But heart muscle is different. It do not grow. At the same time, it do not fatigue. Now we want to understand the molecular level activity, how heart behaves. Okay. Now for that, we'll do a simulation which is being written in Python. Is a very common language these days when we talk about deep learning and machine learning concepts and what is artificial intelligence. Many programs are being written because it's a very flexible language. Now, with this language, a particular protocol has been written where we can simulate the molecular events that is taking place inside the heart. Understood? And that also in a molecular level. That means how a heart muscle molecule is behaving with response to the electrical charge that are being developed inside it. Understood? So that is our objective. For that, what we do a method called molecular dynamics. Now, what exactly is this? It will be a little this thing for you, but still, what happens is in molecular dynamics we can replicate the ionic behavior, the physical behavior that is exactly taking place inside the heart. That also near to a protein molecule. That's a molecular level, not in the heart total muscle. Okay, it's in a particular molecule how it behaves in response to certain upsurge of sodium or potassium ion. We can simulate that. And I must tell you that this concept of simulation is a Nobel winning concept which has got a Nobel Prize. And the major molecular dynamics simulation protocols, or shall we say algorithms, are of three different names. One is called GROMACS, one is called EMBARK, one is called CHARM. Now, EMBARK was being developed in Europe. CHARM was being developed by Harvard University, and so on. The GROMACS was being contributed by Japan as well as Europe. Now, in this molecular dynamics, what happens is each and every atom of a molecule, because molecule is a combination of different atoms. For example, I give you the structure previously I saw you is this. Okay. Now this is a molecule which is made up of amino acids. Okay, this is a protein molecule, macromolecule, because so many molecules are already there. Now each part of this macromolecule is called amino acid. Each amino acid, there are plenty of atoms. For example, in every amino acid, there will be at least one carbon atom, one hydrogen atom, nitrogen atom, oxygen atom, and so on. There are 20 different types of amino acids in nature. All these things builds a protein. Now, here what happens is we will able to simulate the effect of pH, ionic condition, and then what? Temperature, and also presence of ligands. Ligands means what? Ligands means some small molecules. For example, drugs. You saw now in the first video, the person was taking a drug in order to influence the electrical events that are taking place in the heart. So we can simulate each and everything by putting the forces on each and every atom. So what happens? It becomes a large macromolecular phenomenon, and you can literally see how exactly your protein is behaving. So we'll do a little hands-on now. I'll tell you to find out a particular this thing. Oh, I did not put it. I think. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. I'll put it in such a way. Just hold on. Give me a little time.
Hello, sir.
Yes, yes.
Sir, screen not visible, sir.
Okay, okay. Just hold on. 1 second. 1 second.
Okay, okay.
I what happens is 1 second. Okay. I'll help you with this. Just hold on. Okay, now it is visible, right? Okay. Now visible, na?
No, it's visible, sir.
Visible, na? Okay. Now, what I'll request you all,
Screen, sir,
yes.
screen not visible. Just it shows you are presenting to everyone. That's
Oh, I see. Okay, okay, okay. No problem. So what happens is I am dropping a link in the chat box, and I request all of you to
oh,
click on that. What happens is I had given you one this thing also, QR code. You
oh,
can scan it by your mobile, and then you can directly go to the protocol. Okay. Since if it is not
okay.
possible, I am sharing the link. You please click on the link so that you will have the exact thing which I have in my desktop, which is this.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So many of you would have opened
Now
it.
it's visible, sir.
Fine. But can some of the participants tell me by unmuting? I'll request to the coordinator if they can tell me that if they have found the page I have found. If some of you at least have opened the link in their desktop or the laptop, can any of you have opened so that you can do the little hands-on? Fine. So at least one person I have seen, Mr. Prabhakar has opened it. Now I'll give you a little listing of this. Now what happens is, as I have told you, a program which will consider each and every atom with response with respect to the parameters you give, such as a particular temperature, a particular concentration of an ion, and you want to simulate how an atom will behave in the presence of, for example, 14 millimoles of potassium ion and 120 millimoles of sodium ion, and at room temperature, that is 37 degrees centigrade plus 273 Kelvin. In this situation, how a molecule will behave. In order to study this, you have to do what? Molecular dynamics. Now, by looking at the concept only, you feel that, or you must have an idea that it needs a lot of programming. At the same time, it need to have a lot of what? Processing power of your processor. So, biomedical engineers have now developed a method that is used in many places, where nowadays we call it cloud, but in it has been developed so many years back. Now what we do is we use a server which is remotely kept by means of an HTML website. Now this website is being developed by University of Nantes in France, and I'm fortunate enough to have a little work in that particular lab in Europe, when they are mostly trained as biophysicians. Okay, like Binky. Venki was a biophysician in IIT Madras, and then subsequently he went into structural bioinformatics or biology, and he received his Nobel due to the three-dimensional structure founding of ribosome. That is a different issue. These people are also like this. These people are engineers, but they are very much interested in biology these days. Anyway, now what happens is they have developed in that university. They are funding. They are having their own funding, and they are helping people throughout the world who try to do simulation studies. That also for free. Okay. Now here what they did is they used the protocols of molecular dynamics and which they run in their server, in their processors. Okay, by using their electricity and everything else. What you can do is you can submit your job. They will use their processor to compute the effect of each and every atom, and subsequently after completion of the work they will give you the results. Okay, they only want that you cite them that you have used their facility. Anyway, now what we'll do is, as you can see here, very simply they have designed a website. Here what you do, upload a PDB, as you can see here. Now here you do choose file. Okay, now when you do choose file, it will lead you to a exterior area. Just hold on, it will also give you, and it will lead you to your any place, desktop or somewhere else. I kept it in FDP Coimbatore. Here I also kept this thing, my myosin small chain. This is the PDB I had sent you. So I'll request all of you, those who can do, they should choose the PDB which we have already sent to you, and then do nothing. They keep everything as intact, and in the what they now there is a window where they can run the name. You can write down myosin simulation. If you want, you can write down. If you do not write also, it will not affect your run. And then you write, you do not go to bottom, you write calculate. Okay. Now when you do calculate, the PDB is being taken to the hardware of the University of Nantes, and then they'll run the protocol. That protocol of molecular dynamics is a layered protocol where they used multiple things. For example, they used protocols of random forest algorithm. They used the protocol of hidden Markov model. Whatever thing you can expect in machine learning, they used it all. Okay, to optimize the whole process in a graphical representation. I'll show you how exactly they did it. So here also we do not have much scope, but in the protocols, what they did is they use several layers of algorithms so that they finally optimize the output in a graphical way. They will show exactly which part is behaving how. Now, this is a simplistic idea where the University of Nantes people have standardized the parameters. You cannot change the concentration of sodium, potassium, and things like that. They have given you a simple environment which is easier to calculate. Understood? If you add more atoms, more ions in the heart, the scenario may go or the simulation may take a lot of time. So what they did is they for the sake of to understand the whole concept, they did standardize a normal parameter where they'll take in any of your protein and they'll react upon it, and they'll give you a graphical representation where you can find out that in your protein structure, in which part there is more influence of that environment which they are creating in the in a dry run, or it's a simulation. Okay, now what happens is okay. No, we will not go here. results are there. Yes. Now see, by hardly 20-30 seconds, they have simulated the whole protein and they have given us, you see, here no so many different things are there. Do not click on anything. You see something small / large. If you can see small / large, you click on the first large icon. Now once you see the first large icon, out of many predictive mobility or many predictive dynamic behavior, this is one such behavior where you can see how your protein is behaving, that is your heart protein is behaving at a particular parameter of sodium ion, potassium ion, temperature, pH, and some standard ligands, for example, calcium ion or things like that. Not very large ligands, very small ionic ligands only. Okay. Now this is how, and in our lab, in my lab, I am interested to see that whenever something goes wrong electrically in the heart, can we able to simulate the whole thing in the protein, so that we can also predict by kind of something called a reverse engineering kind of concept. Can we able to predict by seeing the molecular events that how the outcome of that abrupt electrical activity could be. The major objective is to see how different patients behave in different cardiac conditions. So that is a different issue. Now this is what I wanted to share with you. How machine learning is helping the biomedical research to a great extent. So this is what I wanted to share with you. If you can do this thing. So this was one of the objective of our lab, and I wanted to share this information with you. Now next, if we go, we'll get back to once again heart. Now here also, this is nothing but the standard curves and what exactly they represent. As you have seen in the video itself, that different area of the ECG represents different things that is taking place in the heart. But in some cases, what will happen? All these different electrical activities can go abruptly wrong, which may lead to conditions like bradycardia, tachycardia, arrhythmia, and sinus pause. All these things can happen. Now, when those things happen, you have to do some kind of intervention. And that intervention is generally done by means of what? By means of as I have told you, the oldest of human history is oldest wearable device. Now these days, everybody will be talking about connected and wearable devices. You wear a watch kind of device, and then it will monitor all the parameters of your body, how much you should run and how much you are running, how much energy you consume, so many other things. But during 1940s only, just after the Second World War, we were able to design a device which was wearable and which is also a life-saving device. Now this is the device I am talking about. Now, this is called what? It is already there in your syllabus of AICT, BTech, as well as in diploma and in some MTech courses also of biomedical engineering, where you talk about what? The cardiac pacemakers. Now this cardiac pacemakers, when it was first developed, I will tell you the whole this thing. When it was first developed, it was an exterior voltage giving thing, which is like much like a defibrillator. In that period of time, it was something like defibrillator only. But the defibrillator was so complicated that one need to do thoracotomy. Now thoracotomy means what? Thoracotomy means opening of the thorax. That means some kind of open heart surgery. Your chest should be kept open by means of a clip. The chest should be kept open because it is made up of a bone which will come closer and close the cavity. So they'll put a clip so that it remains open, your heart, and then they'll put the lead to your heart, okay, but externally, and they will connect it to a DC so that some amount of electrical pulse is generated directly to your heart. Now that whole mechanism needed a lot of things, understood, and everybody was not able to use that technology to save the life. Okay, now that was affordable to the best or topmost, what shall I say, army officers who were fighting for Europe or for America during Second World War. The best, not the regular army man, understood. And that also was so complicated, but that nobody guaranteed whether the results will be good or bad. So that was the story of during 1945 something. Now during 1960s, human beings developed the fast, portable as well as implantable what cardiac pacemakers. In those days, what we used to had was a single chamber pacemaker. Now what they finally understood was it is everything taking place somewhere near the atrium, because atrium is so important because there are two special area. One is SA node, sino-auricular node, and another is AP node, which are present near the atrium only. So what they did, they designed a machine which will go and connect with the atrium, and whenever atrium loses its control, it will put an exterior pulse and start its regular activity once again. So in those days, it was a single chamber pacemaker. Okay. Now subsequently, human beings understood that it is not that the atrium is isolated or the rest of the heart is isolated. If you only look after the atrium, your purpose may not be served. So subsequently, they designed what? They designed a dual chamber pacemaker, one for the upper chamber or atrium, one for the lower chamber, the ventricle. Okay. When during the 1980s and 90s, we came to know that it is also not enough, because in the heart, the most huge part of the highest volume is taking place by means of two ventricles, the right ventricle and the left ventricle. So you need to address both the ventricles as well as the atrium. Okay, so therefore we ended up with the biventricular pacemakers. As you can see here, the leads of the pacemakers or pulse generators are put inside the heart tubes, and it reaches up to 3 different places. One in atrium, 2 in ventricles. So these are called biventricular pacemakers. Now, as you can see, the leads of the pacemaker should be inserted on the heart muscle. This is the area we are interested in. Muscle, where your pacemaker leads are kept. One is by active fixation by a screw, and another is passive fixation by just keeping it, so that it can generate or it can do the electrical pulse it will produce, so that your heart once again become functioning regularly. Your arrhythmia goes away, your bradycardia goes away, your tachycardia goes away. Understood? Now, this is the generation, not exactly the generation, 3 different types of the common pacemaker. As you can see, the first and the last, both are one atrium, one ventricle. As you can see, if you come closer, you will see RA and RV written. RA means right atrium, right ventricle. But the middle one, as you can see, LV is also included, means left ventricle is also there. And depending on the case of the patient, the clinician or the heart physician will propose a particular kind of device for you, a device for the patient, and where either it could be a biventricular pacemaker or it could be a dual chamber, but definitely it will be dual chamber only these days. If I could show you, I don't know. Okay. The single chamber is also there. See, now these are the very, very common circuitry which are present inside this what pacemaker devices. The pacemaker device, as you can see, is not very complicated. Here you can see 2 different generation of pacemakers. Okay, one pacemaker, as you can see, the casing is done by means of epoxy resins, okay, or silicone. Now, during the 1960s, it was seen that epoxy resins are good enough and do not produce any kind of allergy. Okay, now do you know how, as you already know, that what it does is they take a part in the near your thoracic cavity, they'll operate and they'll put the whole system inside your body. So your blood is constantly in connection or in touch with the device. So sometimes the device may be allergic to a patient. Okay, because your body, it is something like contact dermatitis. Okay, you touch a particular, for example, a particular insect, and all of a sudden what you see, there are so much of itching in your body or in your skin. So that is called what? A immune response or something, which is because that is a foreign thing which is not present in your body regularly. Whenever it comes in contact with you, you behave in a different way. Here also, the device is a foreign thing. It is not a part of your, isn't it? You do not born with the device. So what happens is your body starts behaving opposite to the device. Ultimately, it leads to what? An allergic condition or autoimmune condition where there is so much of infection near the device and no antibiotic will help you. Therefore, what will happen? You will start rejecting the device, and somebody once again for to save you from the infection, you have to remove your hard device. So at the end of the day, what? At the end of the day, you arise a lot of complications. So what happens was initially during the 60s, epoxy resins were being used. As you can see, a transparent thing. You can see the batteries as well. Now these batteries are also one thing. As I have said, during the 1945 and 47, just before the 50s, during the Second World War, they used to use what you know, the chromium nickel batteries. That is the battery which you use in your car or in your house. That generator. Okay, that battery. But subsequently, the batteries were converted to what? Copper oxide batteries. Subsequently, those changed into what? Lithium-ion batteries. Okay, so lithium-ion batteries are the batteries which are being used today, which are far more this thing, and it can increase the life of your device. And these are very less weight, and therefore it is very easy to implant inside the patient. Now here also it is not complete, but it is also a little bit history that how exactly these were there. But the basic construct was still the same. There is the battery, there is a CMOS chip as well as the capacitor. Okay, then the lead will come out of it. If it is a single lead device, one lead will come out, and in biventricles, what will happen? 3 leads will come out of your device. Now these leads, what they do is they do dual role. One role is to sense. Now these days, I tell you, when we talk about Internet of Things and sensing devices, smart cities even. Now what happens is sensing becomes very important. Okay, it is also there as your video game. When we were of very young age, we had video games which were one-dimensional. Now these days, gyroscopic video games are there. Okay, so if you rotate your mobile phone, something else will happen like this. These days, sensing is so nice that your pacemaker can understand how much of pulse is needed to support your heart. It will only produce that much pulse only. But previously, during 1950, 60, up to 75, it was not the story. The pacemaker used to produce a regular event of pulsing, whether you need it or do not need it. Okay, that means filtering protocols or algorithms were not very smart. But these days, what happens is the size of the device is also very small. This, as everybody knows, the magnitude of the microprocessor mu-p is increasing, size is decreasing. Same thing happening here also. These days we are having a capsule-like thing, which they do not operate. They put it inside the heart by a thread or an optical wire, and then they keep it, the capsule-like thing, inside the heart. They do not implant, they do nothing. The device is so smart that it can sense even whether you are running. For example, a person with a cardiac condition, the doctor have told him not to simply sit every time. He should do some kind of physical exercise to maintain his normal body. Now your heart is thinking that the person is having so much stress, let us give so much of electrical pulse to the person. Okay, now that is all waste, because you are doing a regular activity. These days your devices are so smart, they can understand whether you are running, walking, or doing your regular exercise, or whether you are really in stress. If you are really in stress, the algorithms are designed in such a way, then only they'll give you a proper, and they also learn. This is also very interesting. When you talk about smart things, this machine learning is also very interesting. Here what happens is, your machine learns from your behavior, everyday regular routine. It will find out how the regular electrical activities are taking place in your heart. If you are doing the regular job, if it is the regular job, it will not do anything because it has already learned your routine. Okay, so likewise, the whole scenario is going on, and subsequently, as you can see here, they can the leads can do dual role. They can sense the events that are taking place in the heart, and whenever necessary, that same leads will do what, the pulsing from your capacitor. So likewise, the whole things will go on. Okay, now this thing last video. I shall see if there is a last video here. I might have here also. I want to share with you a little video. Okay, the patient is not responding, therefore now this is how a rapid shock can definitely help people to get rid of the heart conditions as well. Uh, Now, that was the thing I needed to speak with you all. Uh, if you have some questions, you can go ahead. Am I still audible to you?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can ask now.
And whether it was because I did not talk about much of very recent development. These are all old things only. But here, what happens? No, your students will be, if they know all these things in detail, they'll able to innovate by themselves. Because sometimes what happens is poor understanding of concept, basic concept, lead to poor innovations. So to get rid of that, the regular thing which you teach in the class, that is also is very much needed. I am seeing such. I don't know. Coordinator may tell me whether they should unmute or any question or something.
Sir, they will normally post it in the chat box,
Okay, we'll once again see.
but there are no questions.
Okay, okay.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can even unmute and ask.
And if one of you, teachers as well as anybody who are working on biomedical signals, ECG, EEG, or if they are interested, we also are interested to collaborate. If somebody uh, in the post-lunch session, I thought that it will be this thing.
Sir, shall we wind up, sir?
Okay, Okay then. Thank you, madam, for everything.
Okay, sir. So I extend a sincere thanks to our resource person, Dr. Suchit Jetnath, who gracefully accepted our invitation and shared his knowledge with us. The session was very informative and worthwhile, sir. So thank you for accepting our invitation, sir.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So we will communicate with you shortly, sir.
Yes, yes, sure, sure. No problem.
Okay.
Attendance link and the feedback link has been posted in the chat box for the participants. Tomorrow the session will start at 10 o'clock. The participants are requested to log in prior 10 minutes. Thank you. Once you fill in the feedback and the attendance form, you may leave the meeting.